Okay, well, let's get started. Everyone else will catch up when they come in. I'm super excited to be chatting with all of you guys today. I see some familiar names, and this is exciting because I'm taking a lot of calls this week and last week, and you can imagine over the last few weeks about how we're going to survive the holidays. Everybody's top of mind thinking starting in January, maybe getting back on track, but in this purgatory month of chaos, what do we do? So Dr. Mary Klimek, this presentation is really for women over 40. And the reason we pick women over 40 is because typically at this stage in life, we are dealing with so much and so much more around the holidays. We've got to make it magical for everyone else. We're shopping for everyone on our list. And the other 11 months of the year might be stressful. And then this kind of perpetuates onto it. So who is it for? Anybody that's got to run and manage and create magic for the holidays. Okay, so why do we struggle more during the holidays than any other of the 11 months? It's not really about willpower. It's really about your biology and your stress physiology response. So 11 months of the year, those hormones might be out of balance and out of whack. And it seems like adding to the chaos of December just makes it worse. So hormones like cortisol, which is your stress hormone. Okay, that's going to help you regulate your blood sugar between meals, going to help manage inflammation. It's going to help manage with stress, which typically gets elevated during the holiday season. And then it also gives you stable energy throughout the day. Insulin, a very important hormone also. Insulin is going to, in a nutshell, bind to your red blood cells and let glucose from the food you eat inside those red blood cells and keep your metabolism going strong. Now, if we have a lot of extra insulin from dysregulation from food we're eating, extra sugar, salty foods, stuff like that, just things we don't normally eat, then insulin is going to build up in our system and our red blood cells become more resistant to insulin. Okay, leptin and ghrelin. Hello, everybody that's just joining. Good to see your faces too. Leptin and ghrelin, those are the hormones that say we're super full or we're really hungry. Okay, oftentimes those hormones get out of balance because we're bypassing our brain's pathway there. So let me explain. I'll use this analogy. If you had somebody coming over and ringing your doorbell and you were comfy on the couch and you got off your couch, your comfy spot, you're watching Netflix and answer the door, but nobody's there. Okay. Then you get back comfy on the couch. You hear the doorbell again and you're thinking, I'm going to answer the door again. Okay. But you answer the door and nobody's there. How many times are you going to do that before you're thinking like, well, maybe the doorbell's just broken, there's nobody there, or you're not even going to care. You're just not even going to notice and get up. That's kind of the same thing. If you constantly are overeating, your body is sending you a signal saying, hey, I'm full, and you keep eating beyond that because foods this time of year are extra tasty, extra sugary, really designed to make you want to eat more. You're like, your brain's figuring out it's a broken doorbell. So your hormones then become more dysregulated. It's harder to regulate the I'm full feeling and stop eating. And it's really harder to regulate the need to know when you're hungry and you actually need to eat. Okay, so really common symptoms when you have all those hormones dysregulated, you're going to feel the bloating. You're going to have the fatigue. Okay, now fatigue sounds easy. It's like just tiredness, but fatigue can also show up in other ways, like you're waking up even after what you think is a restful night's sleep, feeling tired. Also, fatigue can show up like those 2-3 p.m. crashes. And then another way fatigue can show up would be like the tired and the wired. So you wake up really struggling to get out of bed, thinking, I'm going to go to bed so early tonight, and then it's time to go to bed and you're wide awake. Okay, those are signs that there's some hormonal imbalance, not just you're tired. You might have the irritability. Irritability could come from low blood sugar. I get a lot of questions this time of year of, okay, or thoughts. Maybe we're fixing thought patterns about people saying Thanksgiving tomorrow. I'm just going to not eat the rest of the day, save all my calories for that big meal because I know I'm going to be eating in excess. That's going to probably add to your blood sugar dysregulation, make you even a little bit more irritable, and then probably an overeat. Okay, you might also get those cravings. Cravings for sweet typically indicate there's some sort of blood sugar imbalance. Either it's high or low. Cravings for salt could mean that you have a cortisol or adrenal imbalance. And then, of course, the midsection weight gain. Nobody wants that. Okay, if you gain weight all over, that typically means that you might have just some all over weight gain, right? But if it's more specifically around your midsection, that tends to be more of a sign that there's really some adrenal and cortisol imbalance that we're dealing with and managing. You're not broken. This is just hormonal and metabolic out of balance, out of sync. And the good news is it's all fixable as long as we're identifying what's causing the problem, so then we know how to fix it. Hi, Heather. Good to see your face too. Or I guess your name. I can't see anybody's face. So anyway, 'tis the season to feel exhausted, right? We should be this wonderful, beautiful lady on the left enjoying the Hallmark movie experience that you're probably providing for everyone else, sitting on the couch, sipping tea and enjoying. Instead, we are in the mostly on the right side where you're kind of in charge of making it magical in a Hallmark movie for everybody else. You're planning meals, you're coordinating schedules, you're shopping for everybody on the list, you're wrapping late into the night, you're going to holiday parties and still working, and it tends to create a lot more stress. Okay, so what does that stress do? It perpetuates, like we could all just relate to, it perpetuates the overeating, the chronically tired and undersleeping, and all those things that add to even more stress. And then that is a negative cycle leading to more energy crashes. We tend to then potentially gain weight a little bit more quickly in the holidays, and then you feel really out of control in your body, and you kind of throw your hands up out of frustration, say, I'll just start in January. Okay, well, we don't need to just start in January. There's things that we could do that are going to help us through December. Okay, so the real triggers aren't just the one day. Okay, they're not just Thanksgiving Day. It's not just Christmas Day. Okay, we if it was just that and we treated those times as isolated one-day meals, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, we'd probably be fine. We wouldn't even be really having this conversation. Okay, so that's a mindset set shift you can take right now. It is just one day. You can celebrate that day and your family and your friends and be off-road to what your plan is, but it doesn't mean you have to have 4 or 6 weeks of just completely off-roading. Okay, so it's the roller coaster that you get in the stress loops that happen over and over that are going to make January 1st even a little harder. You're gaining the weight, and we don't want that. We want to pause that thought pattern and fix it. Okay, so really common things that questions I'm answering right now from patients is, and like, how can we prevent the weight gain around the holidays? Meal timing. We touched on this just a little bit, but the smarter thing to do is not just eat one big meal, save all your calories, and then a big calorie dense thing. You want to be eating consistently to help manage your blood sugar throughout the day. Okay, so you're going to have those 3 servings of protein, beef, turkey, chicken, seafood, and eggs, 3 servings of veggies. Okay, anything really but corn and potatoes. Sorry to say, potatoes are not going to count as veggies, and corn is just really sugary, so it's not a great veggie to be filling up on. Okay, and 3 servings or 2 servings of fruit. That's also going to be helpful. You don't want to have tons and tons of fruit on top of all the other processed refined sugar you're having, and then make sure you're having healthy fats with those meals. Okay, we don't want to have that constant snacking or skipping meals. This is the time of year where you walk by the kitchen counter or the break room, everybody seems to be bringing snacks and desserts in. Okay, Try to avoid just the mindless snacking. And then, of course, when you are stressed and when you are not sleeping properly, your hormones are going to be dysregulated and you are going to probably store more fat than you had the other 11 months of the year. Okay. So, what do we do about it, right? And really, why is this all happening? There's two types of people in the world: people that have a fat burning metabolism, number 2 on my list, and then everybody else. Okay. People that store food on their body and they are weight loss resistant. So, what's the difference, right? If you have a fat burning metabolism, there are 3 hallmark signs. You have sustained energy of 7 to 8 all day long with only 1 caffeinated beverage. Okay, this is high energy. You're not having those dips in the middle of the day and you are go, go, go. You're waking up with energy and going to bed on a natural cycle. The second hallmark sign is you're not really craving the sweets, the salty, the starchy, the carby. You're feeling like you have to graze a lot throughout the day. If you have a fat burning metabolism, your body is going to burn the stored fat as a fuel source. Okay, these are people that seem like they can't really keep weight on, almost, in a sense. And sometimes even it's like you are eating all the food that you want, your body's burning the stored fat, so you just never gain weight, right? That's a fat burner, right? Now, the third hallmark sign, so we're not craving sweets, we're not craving salty, starchy. The third hallmark sign of somebody that truly has a fat burning metabolism is you really restrict your eating just a little bit, eat a few more salads, go on a few more walks around the block, and you have no problem losing weight. Okay, so 3 hallmark signs to look forward to when your body becomes a fat burner is high energy, less cravings, an easier time losing weight just seems to fall off. Now, most of us at this point in the year are in the food for fuel stage. What we eat is getting stored as fat on the body. Okay. And here's what happens when you are in a food for fuel type of metabolism. Metabolically speaking, your brain, your heart, and your lungs are needing the food you eat for an energy source. So when you have a physically or emotionally exhausting day, which what day is not physically and emotionally exhausting during the holidays with everything going on, even our days off, okay? When you have a physically or exhausting, mentally exhausting day, your body is just naturally going to seek those quick recovery foods if you are dependent on the food you eat. And it's going to seek the quick recovery foods that are tastiest, salty, starchy, carby, sugary, right? All those really highly palatable, calorie dense, easy to process and break down foods, okay? And that then creates this cycle where then you crave more. Now, come January, most people, some brave people are starting in December, but come January, typically people then are thinking, okay, in January, I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to start working out more and I'm going to start eating less. The problem is if you're stuck in a food for fuel type of metabolism and you are a fat storer, that's really going to be challenging because eating less and moving more is going to make you more tired and more hungry. So here's, we see it all the time. And if you're a gym goer, you recognize first 2 weeks of January, people are like, oh, I feel horrible and inflamed and bloated. And through the holidays, because they just kind of, the cycle perpetuates and continues. And then they're thinking January is when I'm going to hit it. I'm going to then restrict my calories, start working out, but it creates almost the yo-yo, right? You eat healthy, you work out, you step on the scale a couple weeks later, and you might actually be a couple pounds heavier or no change at all. And that's incredibly frustrating. That's a hallmark sign of somebody that has a food for fuel, fat storing metabolism. And then you're on the yo-yo. And then you're like, this is not going to work. And then you give up by February, and then you're 5 pounds heavier than you were in last year. And then that cycles. We don't want that. Okay. We want you to become a fat burner. And then you're able to burn the stored fat. And then when you go into January, working out, eating healthy, you're just not going to have any problems losing. Right. And so, how do we transition to or maintain Some of you guys that are on the call now are actually probably in the reduce or the reset phase with us, which is fantastic. But if you're thinking about doing this in January, okay, how can we prepare our body a little bit more now to set the stage, set the foundation to be a fat burner? So then in January, when you do want to work out and eat healthy, it's just a little easier, okay? There are a few things we can certainly do now that's going to help set our foundation. Have protein and veggies for your first meal, okay? If you are experienced or have practice with intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, then that might not necessarily be within the first hour of waking. Okay, but if you are a food for fuel type of metabolism and you wake up and you think I need to eat something within the first hour, then what you should be focusing on is having protein and veggies. Don't forget about the veggies, okay? So we want to avoid the yogurt, the sugary lattes, even the oatmeal, even though it's like warm and cozy, oatmeal is going to be a blood sugar spike. We don't want that. We want to focus on quality fuel. So aim for 4 ounces of protein, 6 ounces of veggies. If you don't have a food scale, which I would recommend, put it on your Christmas list, get a food scale so you can really understand and see what a serving size actually is, because typically we eat with our eyes and our plates are big. So we're overeating, okay? So, but in general, 4 ounces of protein is going to be about the size of your palm, and 6 ounces of veggies is just about the size of your hand, okay? If you are having a veggie omelet, that's really good for protein, but you're probably also going to need a little bit more of the veggies, not just the veggie omelet, right? Because you're thinking like you're putting a handful of spinach in there. It's probably not quite 6 ounces. So information and data is key. Get a food scale and have that protein and veggies as your first meal. Okay, if you're familiar with time-restricted eating and intermittent fasting, it is a really good tool for your metabolism. Doesn't necessarily translate to weight loss. I have this conversation a lot with patients too. Just because you're doing intermittent fasting doesn't mean it's going to lead to weight loss. There's other keys you have to implement in addition to intermittent fasting, but time-restricted eating is really, really good for your metabolism because it allows your body to detox, process all those cells that you and the foods you're eating, okay? So eat within 1 hour of waking and make sure whenever you are eating, it's protein and veggies, okay? Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. You wanna have a glass of water, ideally with some electrolytes, before you consume any coffee. Okay, so make sure maybe a suggestion would be fill your coffee mug with water and drink that. Once that's gone, you can then fill it with coffee if you're a coffee drinker in the morning, and with alcohol. I'm hearing this a lot right now this time of year. People are saying, oh, I'm going to be with these friends, and these friends or these people are big drinkers. I'm not a big drinker, but my friends are big drinkers. And then so that's kind of letting them off the hook for their own goals and own responsibility of, since they're drinking, I can drink. Okay, we don't need the beer pressure, the peer pressure. Make your own decisions. I'm going to put it blunt because it's sometimes the best way to tell people, right? Bluntly, if you were an alcoholic and you were with friends that drink, you wouldn't be like, oh, I just want to have a little bit of alcohol and it's only because they're drinking. You're just going to say no because it's more aligned with your goals and what you want to be in the future, okay? Now, I'm saying that without judgment because sometimes people do want to drink. Make sure it's your choice. And if you are going to include alcohol in your month of December, on your holidays, or whatever it is, make sure you're having hydration first, okay? Make sure you're mindful about, the alcohol consumption too. Like I said, just to reiterate, don't fall into peer pressure just because somebody else is doing it, but have that hydration first. If you're at a friend's house, same thing. Maybe you're filling your wine glass or your champagne glass or your beer glass with water, and as soon as you drink that, then you have the alcohol. If you're at a restaurant, you are maybe asking the waiter when the waiter or waitress comes over, you are and they always say like, oh, what do you want to drink? The first thing you say that comes out of your mouth is club soda and a lime. That's a really refreshing drink. Get that first. They'll bring it over. Trust me, they will come back and get your order for alcohol if you still want it at that point, but that's going to be a little bit of a slowdown instead of just getting the wine, the cocktail right away. They'll bring you that club soda first. I had a question here, so let me answer it. It's a very good question. If you guys have questions too, pop it into the chat. And you know what? Actually, I don't. How do I see those in-call messages? Okay, let me see. So the question, really good question. Thank you. For electrolytes, do you just prefer water, or is there a recommended electrolyte supplement drink? Yes, really, really good question. I prefer actually this brand. It's called LMNT. Okay. There's a lot of good supplements on. I just like this because I like the taste. It's got stevia, it's got sodium, it's got magnesium and potassium in there. And this one happens to be unflavored, but they do have a lot of yummy flavors. So really you want to just try and make sure your electrolyte does not have sugar. And if it has a sugar replacement, don't get a fake sugar replacement. Fake sugar replacements are going to be like the sucralose, aspartame, kind of gross ones like that. You want to look for stevia, monk fruit. Those are suitable. So this company does it. It's very clean, pure ingredients. Trick with this, like you can order on them on Amazon just to get, they'll give you a variety pack. And they're a little bit more expensive through Amazon. So once you pick your flavors that you like, go directly to the website, and then you can just order from the website, and they're a little less expensive, but very much so worth it. Electrolytes and water. The other thing you can do is just squeeze some lemon and lime in water. That's going to also make your water more alkaline, which is fantastic. I don't have any examples, but there's a brand called True Lemon and True Lime. And they actually have like True Grapefruit, True Orange. You can get those on Amazon, and it's basically just crystallized lime peel, crystallized lemon peel. So those are very portable. Put some in your pocket, put some in your purse, take them to the restaurants, add them to your dishes for cooking if you want. Like I like the lime one to put into soups when I'm making soups this time of year. Anyway, that's True Lemon and True Lime. So some suggestions. Those don't have salt in them though. So you'd want to add a little bit of salt to make it truly an electrolyte. Good question. And snacking. Okay, so this is number 3. It says snacking, but really it should just be meals. Okay, we don't want to really think of it as kind of like a mini snack, but my point is to make is don't go to those parties hungry. Don't go to the dinner that you know is going to cause some inflammation or bloating or anything like that hungry. Okay, that's a really good way to curb your appetite. Make sure you're not going to be overeating on the really, really, really like highly palatable, good tasting things. Okay, we know when we go to parties, we're probably not cooking the healthiest thing. I saw a recipe the other day for potatoes, and it was like 4 pounds of sweet potatoes and 1.5 sticks of butter and 3 cups of sugar. They were probably delicious. That sounds like something one of us might make for a potluck because, man, who doesn't want like caramel on their potatoes? So the point is, it's going to be a landmine of foods like that are just purely tasty to impress versus healthy. So eat your protein, eat your veggies. Don't go to those parties hungry. Don't go to those big dinners hungry. Fuel yourself with smart fuel first, okay? Another really good reminder, we're super duper stressed. Sometimes we go into those meals and we're just like eating mindlessly. So make sure you're taking really good, slow, deep breaths when you are, before you are eating, before you put anything in your mouth. That's a good mindful practice. You also want to try and chew very slowly. Okay, at least 10 to 25 chews per food. The reason is because so many of us, we just eat so fast, we chew 4 or 5 times, we swallow it down. Well, then that food goes into your tummy. Your tummy has to do then all of the work breaking it down and digesting, which makes it way harder. Okay, way harder on your body, way harder on your intestines and your stomach acid to break that down. So the more it can just be delivered to your tummy in a very easily processed way, the better you're going to feel, less bloat. Also, putting your fork down between bites is really helpful at slowing yourself down. Another good tip is sit down. Try not to eat standing up. Okay, your brain is going to feel more relaxed if you are sitting down, you're taking time to eat those meals, especially like at a party. Try and find a seat, try and find a spot to sit, whether it's with friends talking. That's always a good slow down because you're going to be talking, or if you're by yourself, try and make it sit. And then in the morning, if you're living in Washington, it's tricky because we don't necessarily get bright light in the morning, but 10 minutes of morning light is going to help reset your cortisol hormone, or a walk would be ideal if you have that option. Walk the dogs, just get out and walk, get some fresh air. Worst case scenario, you're in your bedroom, open those blinds. Even if it's cloudy and overcast, it's going to help your body reset the cortisol. Cortisol and melatonin are opposite, right? They're opposite and equal hormones. Melatonin you want high at night. Cortisol you want higher in the morning to wake you up. And if you have cortisol and stress imbalance and dysregulation, cortisol tends to become a hormone that easily gets thrown off track. And so you don't have the cortisol in the morning. Light and a 10-minute walk is going to help with that. Okay, so good question. So another thing we really need to try and focus on here in December is the mindset. Don't make the holidays all or nothing, okay? Typically, we'll go from Halloween, which is a mini candy holiday, that piles into Thanksgiving, which tends to be our pie holiday, pie and sugar and butter, okay? Linda, I'll get to your question in just a second. Thanks for asking. And then we go to Christmas, which is like December, a cookie holiday. And then New Year's, which tends to be a drinking holiday. Okay. And so we kind of blend all of those things in, and every day in between is kind of that continuation of those things. So enjoy the season, the day, right, without guilt or regret. Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, but try not to let that be just like a free pass for the entire 6 weeks from October 31st till Christmas Day. Linda's got a question. She has grow lights in her dining room. Does that help with morning light? That's a really good question. Yeah, I think so. I mean, grow lights might be a little bit different because they're, for photosynthesis, and we don't necessarily have photosynthesis, but I would assume just having those super bright lights into our eyeballs, if you can't get natural light, is going to be really good for your brain and your body too. Good question. Also, try it out, report back and let us know. But if you're standing in front of your plants, you could tell I'm a plant girly too. Talk to them, love them, and talk about your day maybe with your plants and get your morning light with the plants. Really good question, Linda. So focus on connection, not on control. I'll see what happens. Yes. Report back to us, please, Linda. Let us all know, because I'm going to get some grow lights then in my living room, in my bedroom. Focus on your connection, not the control. The holidays should be about meeting with people, friends and family, connecting, not and socializing and getting together and sharing. And it doesn't have to mean that you have to just feed and stuff your face and eat things that you don't want to. Focus on having that connection with them. The control factor too, right? There's a fantastic book and podcast I was just reading. Mel Robbins, actually, Jennifer, you probably like this one. If you haven't checked out the Mel Robbins podcast recently, it's about this man that has done all these studies on older people, like in their 80s, 90s, and like what are some of the feedbacks and tips they give to us. And one of the things is don't worry, right? Don't worry about controlling the things you can control, not about your, family members, what they're doing, how they're acting, how they're behaving. Just share a meal with them, share some time, and don't let that stress, don't let that control you. Okay, so check out that podcast, Mel Robbins. It's wherever you find your podcast. You can find it, or get the book. Get the book for your family and friends too. I think it's called like 30 Lessons for Living. Um, and also, a big mindset shift that we can have is, instead of trying to lose weight through December, I think most of us are on this, like, I always need to be in weight loss mode, weight loss mode. Try just not to gain weight through the holidays, okay? That might give you a little bit of grace, right? Where you can still have those meals, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, but the other times you're going to actually still be mindful, okay? Because you don't want to start in January. Like I said, like most people, and we were all guilty, even I've done it before, if you're stuck in that food for fuel metabolism, which was, constantly going off plan in December and late November, is going to shift you from fat burning to food for fuel, or keep you in that food for fuel. You don't want to start January with then just eating less and moving more. It's going to burn you out even more. So why not in December and through the end of the year, we're thinking, I'm going to have a fun time. I'm going to connect with my friends and family, not stress about things. Everything will work out and happen as it should. And I'm going to try to not gain weight. Okay, so those are some good mindset shifts. We don't always have to be trying to lose weight. Okay, we can also be happy with maintaining our weight, and then put a program and plan in place when it's a little easier to lose it, right? And so a lot of you guys have worked with us or are working with us. How do we stay balanced? We don't need to be perfect. Kate and I will say this all the time. This program, this process is about progress, not perfection, okay? How we can help, or how you can help yourself, is doing lab tests that's going to help you understand the root cause, right? And so maybe we do that in December, maybe we do that in January, but we can't really just guess, like, what, unless we're testing, we're guessing. We can't understand what we can't see. So lab testing will help us understand more specifically, if you've struggled with weight loss in the past, how to target the thyroid, your adrenals, insulin, and your gut. If there's major imbalances there, again, just with the adrenals, things you could do to help your adrenals now is the morning light, regulate cortisol, staying super hydrated, insulin not eating or overeating, and like even things like chewing your food is going to help with your gut health. Really make sure that you are eating food for fuel. Okay, there's a difference between good fuel and then just fun fuel. Okay, the fun fuel is going to be the cookies, the caramelized potatoes, basically, a cup and a half of butter and 3 cups of sugar. So you want to make sure you're having those meals to stabilize your blood sugar. That's going to be, like we talked about, proteins, veggies, healthy fats, every meal, even if you're drinking or eating sugar or cake or anything like that. Now, really quick, we didn't talk about it, but I want to just refresh quickly everybody's mind what a healthy fat is. Healthy fat is going to be nuts, seeds, avocados, nut butters, nut milks, okay? Unhealthy fats are going to be soybean oil, canola oil, things that are in the highly processed, right? And so when you are cooking with oil, the 3 oils that are going to be considered healthy oils: coconut oil, that's going to be a high heat oil. So if you've got a lot of like pan cooking or high heat cooking, avocado oil is another higher heat cooking oil. So if you're cooking in a high heat, cook with uh, avocado oil or coconut oil. And olive oil, I know we do tend to use olive oil a lot when we cook, but technically that's going to be a low temperature fat, healthy fat. It's a healthy fat. We should be eating it, but that would be more like a salad dressing. You're eating that more on the raw, okay? In terms of coconut oil, there's a couple different types of coconut oil, refined and unrefined. And I might be mixing it up, so you'd have to Google this, but I believe it's the refined coconut oil that does not taste like coconut. They just take all the coconut taste out of it. If anybody knows which one it is, send it in the chat so I can tell everybody now. And adrenals. Okay, so adrenals, we talked about that. Adrenal glands regulate your stress hormone, your sex hormones, basically a lot of your endocrine system. So use adaptogens. What are adaptogens? Adaptogens are going to be, actually, believe it or not, things like electrolytes. Okay, unrefined coconut oil has a distinct coconut taste. Thank you, Kimberly. Okay, so when you're cooking, if you're going to get coconut oil, make sure you're using the refined coconut oil, right? And that's going to be the higher heat cooking oil. Put that in your fry pans, put that on your oven, in your roasted vegetables, stuff like that. Save the olive oil for dressings. Adrenal tools. So we're talking about adaptogens. Adaptogens could be something even like, believe it or not, even as simple as electrolytes, but even more specifically, we're hearing that a lot, the buzz term adaptogens. Those are going to help your body adapt, right? And so if we're talking about adrenals, that would be supplements like ashwagandha, right? Ashwagandha is a really classic one. You can get ashwagandha and stuff at Amazon. Just make sure you're using a higher quality brand, brands that we like for strictly ashwagandha. At our office, we use a really wonderful blend. It's like a multivitamin, so it hits more than one thing. But if you're just looking for one thing for your adrenal glands as an adaptogen, it's ashwagandha. Holy basil extract is another good one. Look for brands like Thorn, Pure, Pure Encapsulations, Premier Research. Those are better brands than just like your Nature Valley, stuff like that. Hydration, super duper important too. Okay. Aim to drink, I say as much water as you can, right? But we're talking like 80 ounces, 90 ounces, right? And so what I do, my trick, these are beautiful. Pick water bottles that you love. You want to see it on your desk. You want to reach it and grab it. I fill up 2 of these before I even start my day, put an electrolyte package in each, and I know I better have one of these gone by the mid-morning, by lunch, and then my other one is for after lunch, and then I know I'm pretty hydrated. One thing with hydration too is hunger and hydration can be very similar symptoms, right? A lot of times, once you really are hydrated too, you might notice that when you're hungry 2, 3 p.m., think first, am I hydrated? Did I drink all my water? If you are not hydrated, it's going to come across as hunger. And we might go to the hunger cues because that's easier. We're thinking that feels better when really we're dehydrated. So we tend to overeat. Okay. Stress support. So things that you could do for at home for stress support sounds logical, right? But take some deep calming breaths, go for walks, get some time to yourself, do what you need to do. Like I love puzzles. For me, it's kind of silly, but if I can do a puzzle this time of year, I'm in a happy place, and that helps with my stress. Okay. So find something you like to do that's going to help just give back to you. And then, of course, that mindset shift, right? You don't want to feel guilty. Make a conscious decision. If you're going to a restaurant, you're probably going to eat things, if you want to, that are going to be off plan. They're probably going to cause an inflammatory response. An inflammatory response might be a jump in weight or that unsettled feeling. Don't feel guilty about it. You know exactly what happened and what you did, and you can balance that with getting back on plan and feeling better. Food for fun and food for fuel both matter. Yes, I love that. Linda's stress response is playing with the dogs and snuggling with their kitty. And pets are really good stress reducers, right? We love those cutie pies. I think Linda, you don't know. Oh, Linda, it was somebody else. Another Linda, I was thinking of horses too. But cats and dogs, grandkids, friends, family, all good. Okay. Okay, so a really quick recap, right? fuel over the rules. Make sure you are eating most of your times is going to be proteins, veggies, healthy fats to stabilize your energy and not let those blood sugar dips. If you do need our help or a little bit of support, whether it's just coaching, that accountability and support, or complete lab work, you know, we are here through December. Everybody wants to start in January. And so do as best you can if your plan is to start in January to prepare your body, not get so far out of that or into that food for fuel, fat storing metabolism, then it makes January a little harder. And no, get support from us. If you're looking for just us to tell you what to do, hand you the blueprints, hand you the guidelines for how to lose weight and keep you accountable and support, we certainly can help you, give you the feedback from our team. Otherwise, supportive friends, supportive family, stay accountable to people, really. Okay. You guys have been fantastic. This is perfect timing too. I know we're all super busy, 40 minutes. So I was hoping to be 30, 35 minutes. So I'm not too far behind. We still have time though for questions. If you guys didn't get a chance to ask any questions, thank you, Patty. And Kimberly, if you guys did not get any chance to answer any, hi, Christina, and Jennifer. Oh, you guys make me so happy. And thank you for taking the time to help me or let me share with you. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm still going to be able to be on here for a few minutes. Oh, Linda, so sweet. Okay, so I got to read this. This is not coming from me, but this is coming from lovely Linda. She says, I'm speaking from experience with Mary and her program. She started last July and she's down 35 pounds and has 15 more to go. Way to go, Linda. Jennifer is celebrating you, and Kimberly and Patty, everybody is on your team supporting. Way to go. And Christina has been there. She actually did a lovely video testimonial for us sitting in front of my plant wall. And so Linda's very pleased with the program and all of the support. Sandra, thank you. Also, Linda, you must be so proud. 35 pounds since July is a fantastic accomplishment. 15 more to go. You are well on your way. You are going to be starting January where everybody else is wishing they're going to be. So great. Okay, well, you guys, I'm going to start to do this once a month or so. Great to have you, Linda. Thank you so much for being a part. She's got to jump off. We're going to start doing these webinars once a month or so, just to kind of give people a chance to get some extra support, encouragement, answer questions. So if any of you guys has any suggestions of what we want the webinars to cover, we can go over lab reports, we can just go over basics of the program, how things work, whatever you guys want. Let us know. You can send an email. You guys know how to get a hold of us, or you can respond to the email for the that you signed up for the link in. If you don't know how to get a hold of us, respond back that way. And we will see you next month, everybody. Okay, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Christina, it was so good to catch up with you. Yes, call me soon. Let's connect, even just catch up, see how we can get you back on track. Everyone, I hope you have a wonderful, Heather, good job. I love Heather too. Heather, call me and check in. I want to hear how you're doing too. You had fantastic progress. Okay, everyone have a wonderful, fantastic Thanksgiving and happy holidays. We'll see you next month.